Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So there's been a hotfix today and they fixed some things about the Psyker. So let's jump in and have a look at what they've done. So mostly what they've done is they fixed the Surge Force Staff, because beforehand it was just randomly targeting limbs on the body of an enemy instead of actually hitting it in the weak spot or the chest, which reduced the damage down on the staff by about 90%. It was basically useless. But they fixed that today, which is great. So with that being fixed, let's see a couple of builds it works with, shall we? So as my primary weapon, I am using the Ilias Mark V Blaze Force Sword with melee damage to elites and unarmored. And the blessings I'm using are Uncanny Strikes and Shred. This makes the weapon just an absolute powerhouse. You can cleave through things with little to no problem with this. There are a few other ways you can build this if you really want to. You can go for Shred and Slaughterer, or if you wanted to go for, the Soul Blaze route, you can take Soul Blaze along with Bloodthirsty, or you can take it along with Shred. They're all good ways to build it. My advice would be take Soul Blaze or Blazing Spirit along with Shred, and that should give you the best kind of outlook for it. But if you prefer the dueling swords, then I would suggest something like this with Maniac damage, crit chance, Shred, and Uncanny Strikes. And this thing will just be pulling monsters apart, and you can quite happily two-shot crushers with heavy attacks straight to the bonds. As for the curios, I'm running toughness regeneration speed, max health, and ability regeneration. Max health, max combat ability regeneration speed, and toughness regeneration speed. And then max health with combat ability regeneration, toughness regeneration, and toughness. This is just all aimed at keeping me alive and keeping my usability on cooldown as much as possible. And as you can see, for the Force Staff, I am running Warp Nexus and Warp Flurry for the charge time and the crit chance. And let's have a look at the talents. So I am using Brain Burst for this. Well, Brain Rupture now, sorry. Because it's actually really, really, really good. I will show you another build on this, don't worry. But we're taking Metal, Perfect Timing, Warp Expenditure, Soul Stealer, Perilous Combustion, Battle Meditation, and then into Brain Rupture, and we're taking Kinetic Resonance. Using your combat ability makes your Brain Rupture charge 75% faster and generate 50% less perils. So that would be press F, and after your F ability, you get a few seconds of being able to charge it very, very quickly, which is nice. And this also links in quite nicely to what we're taking at the bottom, but I'll show you that when we get there. So we are taking Perilous Combustion and Wildfire. This is just to help the Surge Staff, where it's now a powerhouse at killing hard targets again. And as those hard targets are usually elites or specials, this will spread to the horde around them and give you some really nice AoE numbers. And along with this, that will also help it spread. We're also taking Psykinetics Aura to reduce the cooldown of your allies, release the ability cooldowns for your allies in Coherency by 5% on elite and special kill. Kinetic Presence, 5% damage against elite enemies for you and your allies in Coherency. One with the Warp game Toughness damage reduction of between 10% to 30% based on your current peril. You're always going to be running quite high. Venting Shriek, because this is how we're going to be triggering those incredibly fast and strong brain ruptures, and also it keeps us alive. Becoming Eruption, this helps a little bit. It's not great, but it does get us to what we want, which is Creeping Flames. Another way of chucking Soul Blaze out there and just burning hordes down while you don't have to do very much. This is very good for horde control, these three abilities. And it will take down most specials as well. And then down here, we're going to be taking Puppet Master into Solidarity. And then coming all the way down here for the health boost, Warp Rider, Empowered Psionics, Overpowering Souls, Charged Up, and Psychic Leeching. So this will buff your Brain Rupture by reducing its perils cost by 100%. 50% cast time, and an extra 50% damage. So Brain Rupture just got very, very, very good. So this is one way I would build this, using the Surge Staff and the Brain Rupture. The staff-wise, you can pretty much use anything you want. You could use any staff at all with this and it would still work quite well. You could use the Purge Task Force staff, you could use one of the Void Strikes. Or if you really wanted to punish yourself, you could use the Trauma Staff. Though I do highly recommend using the Surge Force staff. It's one of your best single target damage staffs you have. The Void Staff is still good, it just does feel very clunky. And now the other build, which I was talking about, if you didn't want to go so far into, say, this side, looks a little bit like this. So we're still taking Soul Stealer, Perilous Combustion, Warp Expenditure, Perfect Timing, and Battle Meditation. We're just losing out on Quietude and Metal here. But this also allows us to use Smite for those very difficult missions where you need to lock down enemies as quick as you can. And I am taking Smite jumps an additional time. I am not taking Enfeeble because we don't really have the wiggle room for it. Then we're going into Kinetic Presence, Wonder of the Warp, down into Venting Shriek again, Becalming Eruption, and Creeping Flames. Then we're going Peril Resistance, Health Boost into Warp Rider, and then down here into Solidarity and Warp Siphon. And then all of these are just going to help buff you and boost you and just keep your damage rolling. So you are missing out on Psionics with this build, but honestly, I don't think it goes particularly well with Smite anyway. So the whole point of this build is you're generally using your staff to kill hard targets. And when you get to about 90 perils, you start spreading your fire around and locking everything down. Because the higher your peril, the more damage your Shriek will do, and the more damage it's going to do with those flames on. So it's basically how the Zealot used to be able to throw an Immolation Grenade and then stun everything inside of it. So, Venting Shriek while you're at high stacks, and then lock everything down into it, and watch them dance. Obviously my stacks weren't that high then, so the Perilous Combustion wasn't going to do much. And as you can see, the Ilias is still very silly. And we'll just see how this works out on a Crusher. Fairly decent damage. There you go. Set everything on fire, lock them down with Smite. So that is generally how this build works. But yeah, it's nice that they fixed the staves, because I really enjoyed the Surge Force. It still feels a little maybe undertuned, but you know, we'll see. That's an argument for another day. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, folks, and if you do, please like, subscribe, hit that little bell for notification. It really does help us out. And feel free to look over at the members area. We are adding stuff to it weekly. There'll be prizes, there will be polls, and there are many, many emojis. We're building lovely emojis every week for you. At least 2 a week, actually. So, if you want to, go take a look. So until the next video, take it easy, and I shall see you later.